Yo, it's about to go down. I said, yo, it's about to go down.
What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Welcome to episode 5 of the Urban Health Nurse Educator. I am your host, Steve Belcher. Thank you for joining. Hope everyone's having a great evening tonight. This, again, is episode 5, and the title of this episode is How to Identify Strokes. You heard the words before, someone saying they had a stroke, their mom had a stroke, their niece had a stroke, their grandfather. You may have seen people affected by a stroke. Maybe their left side weakness and they're limping, or their speech is slurred, or they're drooping. I'm sure you've seen someone who has been affected by a stroke. But do you know what a stroke really is? And are you at risk for a stroke? Have you ever asked yourself that? Now, you may be asking yourself, Steve, I heard of a stroke, but what actually is a stroke? Well, the urban health nurse educator is going to tell you. Stroke is a disease that affects the arteries leading to and within the brain. It's the 4th leading cause of death, right? And it's the leading cause of disability in the United States. Basically, this is what a stroke is. A stroke occurs when the blood vessel that carries oxygen and nutrients to the brain either bursts, ruptured, or is blocked by a clot. Let me repeat that. A stroke occurs when a blood vessel that carries oxygen and nutrients to the brain either bursts, ruptures, or is blocked by a clot. We all know what a clot is. As a result, the brain cannot get the blood and oxygen it needs, and pieces of the brain completely dies. It's gone. That's why you see people walking around with limps or the affected part, because that part of the brain is no longer there, or is there, but it dies, that tissue. Now, there are 3 types of strokes, okay? 3 types. You got what's called an ischemic stroke. Again, an ischemic stroke. That occurs when a clot or mass, often a fatty plaque deposit, clogs a blood vessel, cutting off the blood flow to the brain. Now, ischemic strokes account for 87% of all strokes. Now, let me show you a picture of ischemic stroke. Right here. You see that clot right there that's blocking it? I'm sorry. Let me go. There you go. I'm sorry. This is the one. Ischemic stroke. You see that clot right there in the middle, blocking it? All right. The next one is a hemorrhage stroke. That's the second one. That results from a weakened vessel that ruptures and bleeds in the surrounding brain tissue. The blood accumulates and forms a bruise within the brain tissue, compressing brain cells and causing them to eventually die. So just think of that vessel is weakened and then it ruptures. That's the hemorrhage stroke. And the third is TIA. You may have heard of that, or transient ischemic attack. What that is, it produces stroke-like symptoms. A TIA is caused by a clot, but unlike a stroke, the blockage is temporary and usually causes no permanent damage. So you can see some people who may call like a mini stroke or TIA, and they recover and usually cause no permanent damage to the brain. TIAs are often called mini strokes. Approximately 15% of all strokes occur after a TIA. A TIA is a medical emergency. Now, let's talk about the stroke risk factors. Have you ever wondered if you were at risk for a stroke? Have you? Now look at this. 80%, that's a lot. 80% of strokes can be prevented. Some stroke risk factors are uncontrollable. They're just uncontrollable, such as your age and race. Other risk factors are in your control. They are. And making small, not large, but very small lifestyle changes can reduce your stroke risk. Now you may be asking, Steve, what are the risk factors? Well, the urban health nurse educator is going to tell you, and you may even know some of these risk factors. The main one, hypertension. The leading risk factor. How many people have hypertension or taking blood pressure medicine? The leading risk factor for stroke. However, do not be dismayed, because hypertension can be controlled. It can be controlled. How? Healthy diet, regular physical activity. If you smoke, stop smoking. And if you're taking medication, take it as prescribed. Now, here's the urban health nurse educator. 7 factors to control for ideal health. 1, be active. Be active. It doesn't have, now that we're quote, confined, home ordered, however you want to call it. Do some aerobics in the house. Go in your yard. Take a walk up the street. Do something. Just don't sit around all day and watch TV. Go outside. Maybe garden. Clean the yard. Do some type of activity where you're burning energy, right? But just don't sit around all day while we're in this pandemic mode. Number 2, control your cholesterol. Again, you got to be mindful of what's going on now, and especially if you're at risk, if you got diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, or any chronic illness, you want to watch out and control your cholesterol. Number 3, eat a healthy diet as much as you can. Very, very important. If you can eat salads, right? Fruits, vegetables, drink plenty of water, cut back on fast foods, high sodium foods, canned foods, foods in a box, and try to eat as healthy as possible. A lot of fresh produce, fish. If you eat chicken, broil it. If you eat meat, broil it. That's your choice. But seafood, fish, crabs, whatever. But try to have a round, balanced, healthy diet other than chips, popcorn, fast food, frozen food, food out of the dollar store, meat in a can, that type of stuff. Number 4, if you have high blood pressure, manage it, please. And we just talked about that, how you can control it with diet, physical activity. If you take blood pressure medicine, make sure you take it as prescribed, and changing your lifestyle as far as diet. Number 5, maintain a healthy weight. We know that unhealthy weight leads to chronic diseases and other comorbidities that can put you at risk for a stroke. Number 6, if you're a diabetic, control your blood sugar and eradicate it. I mean, get that A1C below 6, whatever the range, 6, I believe it's 6. Get it below that. Number 7, don't smoke. And if you do, try to reduce it. We know you can't just go cold turkey, but cut back and reduce your smoking. Now, let's move on to identifying a stroke. You want to use the word or the word acronym FAST, and that's F as in Frank, A as in Andy, S as in Stan, and T as in Tom. FAST. F, face drooping. Is the face drooping? Does one side of the face droop, or is it numb? Ask the person to smile. Because if they smile, if they having a stroke or a TIA, it will droop. They wouldn't be able to smile like the Joker. A, arm weakness. Is one arm weak or numb? Ask the person to raise both arms. Does one arm drift downward? If you was having a stroke, you wouldn't be able to do it because you couldn't control it. S, speech difficulty. Is speech slurred? Are they unable to speak? Or are they hard to understand? Ask the person to repeat a simple sentence like, the sky is blue. Is the sentence repeated correctly? T stands for time to call 911. If the person shows any of these signs, even if the symptoms go away, because you remember with the mini stroke, TIA, call 911 and ensure they are transported to the hospital immediately by ambulance. Is the fastest way to get to medical care. Again, help save a life. And I want to thank you for joining the Urban Health Nurse Educator. Let me see, I have some comments. Hey, Candy, how you doing? How you doing, Jim? Thank you for joining, Jared. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you for your support. Please subscribe to the Urban Health Nurse Educator on YouTube, where you're able to see other health videos that can help you or your family member. So with that being said, guys, thank you for joining us on the Urban Health Nurse Educator. Take care and God bless.
Yo, it's about to go down. I said, yo, it's about to go down.